Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
Well, that's right. My name is Mike P. Waworski, coming to you live here on The Rundown, 2A news, conservative views. I am the host from the East Coast, the coast with the most from the co-host with the most. Craig, it's Throat Punch Thursday. How are you doing today?
I am doing good on Throat Punch Thursday. I've had a chance to throat punch a couple of people, at least on Twitter. Always having a good time, kind of throat punching people who say stupid things. So I'm living the dream. Living the dream. How about yourself?
Good. That's the only downfall I think of social media. I think social media would be acceptable if you had the ability to reach through the monitor and punch somebody in the face. I think other than that, it would be fine.
Well, that's how you get people who have all of these comments, and they really have gotten used to saying whatever they want about people and not getting throat punched.
Yes. Yeah.
I got to think as virtual reality develops that we're going to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll make that top legislation when you're a congressman and I'm vice congressman.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. So we got a special guest with us today, but before we get on to him, let's go ahead and give a quick shout out to our sponsors.
Yep. Let's say hello to our good friends at Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net, hitmanindustries.net. If you got yourself an AR in the past 5 years, odds are you probably got one of their barrels. You don't even know it. Well, now you can buy from them direct, the manufacturer, for your next AR build or rebarrel your current AR. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you could take part in California's future today. Please pay special attention to the California Congressional 6th District race. Hog Holsters, that's HAWGholsters.com, HAWGholsters.com for the best in concealed tactical holsters on the market. Use the discount code The Rundown, all one word, all caps, no spaces. Get yourself a nice little discount. And of course, if you got some, you going hiking, you going fishing, you going hunting, you want the best in field gear available, go check out our friends at uscombatgear.com.
That's right, folks. Do me a favor. You know I'm running for Congress, California 6th Congressional District. Got a good shot to win this one, but I need your support. Just go to craigdeluz.com and make your contribution today. You can give $1, you can give $5, you can give you can't give too little, but you can't give too much. Over $3,300 is a little too much, but hey, feel free to help a brother out, help a brother get elected to Congress, so we can actually have someone who cares about the Second Amendment serving in Congress these days. Anyway, with that, also make sure to visit the rest of our sponsors. Right, visit them in the links to the description to this video. All their links to all their websites are in the description to this program. And with that, we want to invite to the program a good friend of the show, and just literally good friend of ours, and good guy in general, and that would be NRA, newly elected NRA board member and the executive director of Legally Armed in Detroit. That would be our good friend, Mr. Rick Ector.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Oh, going good, sir. Going good, sir. How are things over there in the Big D?
Oh man, it's a little nippy out, man. It's weather like in the 50s, 60s and gloomy. I mean, there's no sunshine in sight, man, but you know what? We will persevere and march on.
Excellent. So, do us a favor, because I don't know, some of our audience will probably remember who you are, some maybe not. Tell us a little bit about who Rick Ector of Detroit is.
Man, Villa Detroit, established 1701, Anton de la Motte Cadillac, man. Yes, I am he. My name is Rick Ector. I hail from the city of my birth, Detroit, Michigan. Not Detroit, Detroit, Michigan. I am a firearms trainer. Every year for the last 12 years, I have put on a free women's shooting event in which I seek to introduce an ever-growing number of women to the world of firearms with a free range safety briefing and a free 20-round shooting lesson. And I am actively beseeching and begging my fellow firearms trainers from all four corners of this great United States of America to visit us in, as Mike P would say, Detroit, Michigan, during the dates of July 29th and 30th. Yes, that's the whole weekend, Saturday and Sunday, for a day of fellowship, firearms, and training.
Now, we were there the weekend when we had 12, I'm not 12, 2,000 women who came through. That was a lot of
I know,
work.
man. It was that was 2020, man. That was when everything was shut down and people were supposedly scared to go outside. That was a magical event, man. I was only thinking maybe as a stretch goal to do 1,500 that year, and then we had like 1,200 after the first day, and it was like, man, we might crack 2,000.
I honestly think if you had had it in two different places, that you probably like you did the year after that, like both places, both days. I think you would have exceeded even that number.
Yeah, the thing is, man, you know what? It was great that we had such long crowds, but the downside to that is that we had some people that, had to wait a little spell before they actually got in because we were so inundated with people wanting to participate. And that really forced me really to go to two locations as before, but this time they expanded out to 2 days. When the attendance dropped down to the normal trajectory, still we're on pace to do 1,500 legit. This year we follow our data that we've been tracking ever since we started doing this event. So 1,500, unless something crazy happens and people get scared again. But as of right now, 1,500 is our goal, and we should be able to hit it.
I'm quite sure that you will. Now, you are also a member of the NRA board of directors. How did that come about?
Oh man, wow, that's an interesting story. I About 4 years ago, I was approached to be on the NRA's outreach committee, and that's a committee that promotes people who are doing things all across the country in the community to expose them to guns and to a greater extent, the world of the NRA and how they support, firearms,
I'm
especially
glad you. I'm glad
in
you
our inner
clarified.
city.
I'm glad you clarified that because there are a lot of people that are exposing people to the world of guns in a not too positive way.
Yeah, and I got exposed to a gun in a very unpositive way when two thugs shoved a semi-auto in my face and robbed me about 16, 17 years ago, and that started my journey down this rabbit hole. My name isn't Alice, but man, I'll tell you, it's been quite the journey. Had I not been robbed that day, I wouldn't have met you two guys. So hey, it was definitely worth it.
Just to clarify, we were not the guys who robbed him.
I don't
No,
know, man.
wasn't
I don't know.
us.
It was at least one black guy, and man, you're on the show. I don't know,
Yeah. Now,
but
Craig did once expose me with a little short barrel pistol, but that's a different story.
so I've been doing this. Will be man, this is like I said, the 12th year of doing the women's shooting event. I've been on the committee for roughly 4 years, and I had been recently approached. I guess part of my participating on the outreach committee. A lot of what members do when they're at the various meetings. You meet other people within the organization, and I was told that I was being nominated for the board of directors seat, and so I ran in the last election, which was the mail-in ballot that comes in like the February issue of the NRA's magazine. And lo and behold, when all the ballots were counted and tallied, I didn't actually get elected, man. I missed it, like Maxwell Smart in the Get Smart TV show for our older listeners. Missed it by that much. But they have a listen to me, auxiliary election at the annual meeting, and I decided, well, since I'm down here attending, the board meeting for the outreach committee, I said, well, why don't I just go ahead and campaign? And I campaigned, and I received enough ballots from NRA members at the actual annual meeting who cast a ballot for me, and I had the most votes, so I became the 76th director. As a matter of fact, I last week, about a week or so ago, I went down to headquarters and received my training. Today, I actually received a package that has all the minutes from that first board meeting that I attended at the annual meeting on like that following Monday. I guess when most people went home from the conference, we actually had a board meeting, and I'll tell you, it was like being Alice in Wonderland.
Now, when you had all your training, did they tell you the secrets? Did you get the secret handshake and the secret knock and all that?
I did not get the secret handshake
Yeah.
just yet. There's probably
Okay.
another level. I haven't
Okay.
tripped it yet. Maybe there's an examination to see if I can pass the test that they're probably going to give me on my training manual. And then I got a binder that literally came in the mail today. I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to tell you all this, but it has all the notes from all the meetings that were held at the NRA annual meeting. Just got it today. I am going to diligently read it sometime this evening and consider myself up to date with the latest.
Nice. Very good. Very good. Anything unexpected so far as a board member? I mean, no secrets, but just I don't know, procedurally or issues that have come up. Anything that you didn't expect?
Well, I mean, that was, the big news, I guess, if anyone casually observes, the NRA and the board of directors, it was time for another period where the president and the vice presidents were going to be appointed. And I guess the biggest surprise shocker that everyone was, I guess, indirectly talking about was, the people who were now selected to be the president and first vice president and second vice president. Hey, shocker, shocker. But hey, like I said, I'm coming into this thing cold, and that's probably the biggest thing that I could think of that that really happened. Like I said, I was just basically trying to get my feet on the ground and actually understand everything that's going around. But let me tell you, I've attended my first board meeting. I've had my official training. I got the binder from all the notes that happened over at the annual meeting. So I guess I have to hit the ground running, man. I'm going to be on outreach committee. I just got my assignment literally today. So I know I'll be on the outreach committee again. I was hoping to get on education and training, but that didn't happen. But hopefully it'll happen in the future.
Probably a lot of trainers there on the board, and wanted to take a moment because you also run an organization. Aside from the work that you do for the NRA, you have an organization called Legally Armed in Detroit, and I wanted you to share a little bit with the audience about LAID and how you got laid.
Right, LAID, legally armed in Detroit. It's my acronym I came up with, tongue in cheek, especially for people who like to play cute and fast with language. But I created that blog because I was looking for a vehicle online in which I could share a lot of information about guns, gun rights, and gun education. And there were some things that I was limited to what I could do in the media as a for-profit business, my firearms instructor business. Sometimes people wanted something from non-commercial concerns. So it gave me an opportunity to broaden, some of the things that I talk about to a more broader general audience. And when we talk about things that I'm doing currently, like the Free Women's Shooting event, the blog is actually better suited for that than a commercial firearms business entity. With the blog and with all of the volunteers that I get to run this event, man, it's a serious project plan to put this thing together. Just when you look at sheer manpower to run this event is incredible, and I am truly indebted to all of the firearms trainers and range safety officers, both locally, across the state, and dare I say, from all over the country, who dare to come to Detroit and help me put on this miracle that actually occurs every year. I'll tell you, outside of things going on in my personal life, it is from a professional standpoint, honest to God, the single most uh, professional thing that I'm proud of is the fact that I am reaching out to women in general, and I am uh, reaching out and providing them with some free firearms training if they're curious about guns and how it can relate to personal protection, and to at least answer that question that they may have in the back of their minds in terms of if they can handle the responsibility and the training that goes hand in hand with owning a gun. There's been a lot of talk lately about constitutional carry, and we'll probably get into that later. But as a diehard gun rights advocate guy, even despite the fact that I'm a firearms instructor, I support constitutional carry 100%. You shouldn't need a license to carry a gun, and by that same token, as I mentioned earlier today, you don't need a license or a special permit to run, a blog or some type of podcast on the internet. Heaven forbid if you guys running the rundown had to get a license from the government to share some officially sanctioned viewpoint that the government felt was safe to display.
Don't give me any ideas. They're already contracting with big tech. They're already working with big tech to try and censor us. So don't give me any ideas about requiring permits for free speech.
I mean, I don't put anything past them, man. It's like it just amazes me with these laws and rules and stuff that they keep coming up with. It's almost as if I don't know. It's like they pretty much are acting like the people don't care and that they can do whatever they want to do and run roughshod over our rights and that there won't be any consequences. But they're still in office and they're still doing it. So I guess maybe they're right. Maybe there are no consequences.
Yeah. Rick, before we get too deep into constitutional carry, I want to ask you again about a couple of questions about the women's shooting event. I know we had 2,000 or so not too long ago, and looking at maybe at 1,500 this year. We're hoping. What's the when you talk to the women there? What's their motivation for coming out? I guess that's kind of a two-part question. How many have done shooting before, and why do the women say they come out to this event?
There's a certain percentage. I would imagine somewhere around 15 to 20% that have had some exposure to firearms before, but the vast majority of them are first-time gun shooters, discharging a firearm. There's a large number of people in the metro community who are curious about guns, man. But guns are pretty taboo. You can't even participate in certain activities, or heaven forbid, people find out on your
Oh,
and you support the Second Amendment. Unfortunately, depending on what community you're in, especially if it's in one of the major urban areas, there might be a political price to be paid for that. But we don't live necessarily in a day and age in which people actually feel free enough to engage in conversations about guns and gun ownership and gun safety. And so I wanted to put a resource out there such that if you're a woman and that you had an interest, I wanted to eliminate all barriers for participation. You don't need to own a gun. You don't need to have prior firearm knowledge. You don't need to have safety glasses, earplugs, a target, ammunition. We all know how pricey ammunition has gotten, in these days. But and trusted firearms trainers to ensure that you're going to learn how to properly shoot and not, do something ill-advised and injure yourself. Shooting a gun isn't rocket science, but by the same token, you at least have to be exposed to the proper information and be shown by an expert on how to do it. Do I believe that an expert is needed to teach someone firearm safety? No, not at all. There are a lot of people out there that have the requisite experience to teach another fellow citizen how to shoot. But for purposes of doing this event, I wanted to ensure I had credentialed firearms trainers with some experience who were actually going to be performing that role, man. We're going to be training, thousands of people, man. There's enough things to worry about than having someone who didn't dot all the I's and cross all the T's. I am so fortunate that over the lifetime of this program, we've had a number of squiblos that popped up, and due to the expertly trained staff that we have working the event, we caught every single one of them. We didn't have an exploding gun on our hands. So we got a good safety record, man. We've had a good string of successfully training people, and I want to keep that going.
Well, and just so you folks know, they don't just have trainers come and volunteer, travel on their own dime from all over the state. They come from all over the country to come and to help
All
out.
over
That's
the country,
that's
man.
the sort of pull that Mr. Rick Ector has.
Man, you know what? You know what? It's not even so much pull. You want to know what it really is? And you can even look to the two of you as examples. You were two guys that I met outside of, well, I can't say outside of the gun community, but outside of doing this event. I've been going to various different conferences, whether it's GRPC or NRA or wherever else that there was something, happening. And I've been doing this for a number of years, man. And one of the things that I'm single-handedly most proud of, man, is that I've seemed to have found like some really cool people in the gun rights community, man. I attribute it to me being a magnet. I'm like the magnet that attracts from all four corners of the earth all the cool people in the gun rights community, man. And
Well,
I'll
that's
tell you,
because you're so cool, Ricky.
well, I'm gonna tell you, man, because you know what? I literally have friends all over the country, and I'm honored that they think enough of me to come to Detroit and help me train people, man. And I tell you, we have a lot of fun when you guys show up. We do some great work, and we have some great times and a great meal in the aftermath.
One thing I think that needs mentioning, because I know Rick, you don't highlight it, and there's very few others that do it the same way. When you do this event, it's a gun safety event. There's no politics here. There's nobody hawking memberships to NRA in line. Nobody trying to talk politics to these women. Nobody trying to change or ask what their politics are. It is firearm safety, pure firearm safety, and that's it. And I think that's why it's been so successful and continues to get the draw that it does, because they don't have to worry about coming in and dealing with that part of the industry or the profession.
The thing about it is that I've always said I just wanted to just present the information out there. Now, granted, I already know in the back of my mind that once I demystify a firearm and how to actually load it, how to safely operate it, I know that mere act in of itself is going to dispel a lot of myths and untruths that they probably have heard, their entire life. And once you can correct certain misconceptions that people have about guns and the people that own guns, I believe to a person that they're going to go on their own personal journey of discovery, and out of their own curiosity probably will investigate as to whether other things that they've been taught or told are actually true. But I like to look at this event as like a gateway. And there, like, to your credit for mentioning it, Mike, even if we're just training just women, but even within the gender of women, I mean, they come from all different backgrounds, all different races, all different religions, age groups, parents, grandparents, single people. It's a lot of diversity there, man, and you can't make any sweeping generalizations about the type of women who participate in the event. You just can't say, oh, they're at this free shooting event, that they're all Republicans. No, they're not. No, not even close.
Yeah.
But see,
Right.
that's not the whole thing. I'm not recruiting people into a political affiliation or political organization. I want to teach women how to load, handle, and discharge firearms.
There you go. There you go. This year it's July 29th and 30th. July 29th and 30th, just there, right outside of Detroit. There. If you're an instructor, make sure you reach out to Rick if you can assist. And if you're in Detroit and you want to participate, Rick, where do they find out more information about it?
Man, I have a group over on Facebook, man, of all places. It's entitled 20 2023 2023 Organizing Team for Ladies Shoot. 2023 Organizing Team for Ladies Shoot. It's a group. Just hit the link, hit the little link and say, hey, I'm a firearms trainer. I'm interested in coming to Detroit to help you put on this event. I'm either a credentialed firearms instructor or a range safety officer, and I want to come hang out and train a ton of women and network with other firearms trainers from not only the local area across the state and, dare I say, from across the country. I'm gonna tell you, man, I truly appreciated when you two guys were there, man. You actually brought the show on the road. What was that, 2020, during the height of the pandemic and everything that was going on? But that was a truly special time, and I'm glad you guys were there. And hopefully, I'll see you guys there this year.
Yeah, we were there
Yep. Yep. And
2021, 2022. Weren't able to, I mean, 2020 and 2021. That was the first traveling that I did during COVID because you couldn't fly nowhere before then.
well, you were locked down in California. They wouldn't let you out of your house. They had the armed guards outside.
Unless we
So
were going to the French Laundry with Gavin, then we were okay.
right.
Well, I mean,
Uh,
once they had everything shut down, it's almost as if they didn't want to lift it permanently. And it got to the point with this event. Once they shut it down, once, and then they brought it back up, they were talking about. As a matter of fact, I think they shut it down again. But I was at the point where I'm not really running it.
Mm.
And if they want to come physically bring state troopers and shut us down, then fine, do that. But I'm not shutting it down. And you know what? It was the most successful iteration
Yeah.
of this event
yeah.
to date over the 12 years that we've done it.
Rick, we touched on it earlier. Constitutional carry. Let me get your opinion on this. You're obviously a firearms trainer, been doing so successfully for years now. You're an NRA board member. We've got 27 states now have enacted the law for constitutional carry. What's your opinion? How do you feel about the carrying of firearms with constitutional carry, and then how? Because the objection we hear all the time is, well, it's constitutional carry. Nobody's going to have any training. They're not for it. I'm curious to hear what, as an NRA board member and a trainer, what
Look,
your
man,
opinion is.
I am a Second Amendment advocate. It is the Second Amendment for a reason. Not only does it afford us our individual right to protect ourselves against local bad guys, but it's also to serve as a deterrent against any hostile government, whether it's any foreign actors who may have some crazy ideas of invading, our geographical borders. The Second Amendment protects the First. I am a strong, ardent, fervent supporter of the Second Amendment. All laws that we have on the books, in my opinion, run afoul of that law. The Second Amendment means exactly what the founder said it meant. There was a time and a day and age in which most people owned guns, and it was a rite of passage that firearms training and education was actually done in the home. And as a matter of fact, it was done in our schools. And I really am a huge supporter of us doing that and putting it back into the schools. I mean, even from an early age, we could start with the equivalent of, if not the NRA's Eddie Eagle program, and just build from there. Look at what we're doing in terms of each individual state's commitments to natural resources and hunting. One of the problems we're having here in the state of Michigan is that we're having fewer hunters come out and apply for permits, and we're ending up with deer in populated areas and wandering out onto freeways from time to time. Hunting is needed for conservation, and we need to take care of those deer. And they taste pretty good too.
Yeah.
But to answer your question squarely, man, huge supporter of the Second Amendment. No exceptions, no infringements. No, I mean, it means what it says. And as a matter of fact, I believe that we should be pushing to educate more of our citizens in more places and in more institutions about carrying firearms. And no, you don't need a license to do that. Training will be available. And understand this: the fact that you don't need a license to carry under constitutional carry, you still will be held accountable for what you do with that gun. So you have a built-in motivated interest in learning all that you can about it, because if you do something illegal or ill-advised with it, you will suffer the consequences. And that could be very sobering for people. The fact that we recognize constitutional carry, that doesn't mean that you can just take your gun and do whatever you want. No, you still have to be moral and ethical and lawful.
Well, you know what we have found in talking with instructors in states that didn't have training requirements and then did, or those that had training requirements and had them removed, was that whenever the state or the government puts in place a training requirement, that requirement becomes the ceiling and not the floor. It's supposed to be, they mean it to mean, well, this is the minimum that you need, right? Well, the average person takes it as, well, then that means that if they're going to bother taking the time to require it, well, then if I only get that much training, then that must be as much training as I need. And so therefore you wind up, people don't get as much training. So when you don't have training requirements, people tend to train more.
Well, I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, it's basically an introductory training, that teaches you fundamental firearm safety. It'll teach you some of the basic rules for using and storing a gun. It'll teach you how to safely operate a gun. But you know what? As you stated so very eloquent, it's the bare minimum. And if you're going to achieve any type of proficiency or excellence with a firearm or any other tool, I mean, you're going to obviously need more training, intermediate training. Dare I say, should you ever aspire to be an instructor or get some more advanced training, you should get as much training as you can. There are no guarantees in an armed conflict. A lot of things that come across, our news media and all across the internet, there are bad guys out there still putting in work, still victimizing people. And yeah, being armed with a firearm is definitely a good thing. But the more training that you have, you increase your odds of surviving. Just having a gun and having a carry permit or carrying under constitutional carry, that affords you no guarantee. So yes, more training will increase the odds that you survive.
All right, well, hey, we're coming up against it. So before we go, we obviously, folks, you know what time it is right now, right? It's time for our parting shots. Brought to you by Hog Holsters. Get your Hog Holster today. Go to hogholster.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces. Get your Hog Holster today. Our first one is going. Our first parting shot. It's going to be in honor of former President Donald Trump and the political, I call it both persecution and prosecution that's taking place currently. As you see here, Mike, you want to describe this one to the folks?
Oh yeah, it's Hillary and Sleepy Joe with all of their now proven atrocities that they've had behind them, and they're pointing to President Trump with nothing proven against him, and they're saying lock him up, lock him up, lock him up.
Yeah, that is, like I said, I would just say, and I would continue to say, there very well may be some issues, some legal challenges in terms of what he did, and maybe he didn't completely follow the law. But when you decide that you are not going to prosecute people who did the exact same thing, you lose all credibility.
Yep.
I mean, I'm still waiting for this whole Hunter Biden thing and see
Well,
where that rabbit hole goes,
yeah, the
man. I
laptop
mean,
that we've all looked at that Congress can't seem to realize actually exists. Yeah, Congress or the media. Speaking of that, this image was found on Hunter Biden's laptop. It's a picture of President Biden, for those of you who are just listening to the podcast, and it's got a big for sale sign. For more information, contact Hunter.
The big guy.
The big guy. Ask about the deal for the big guy.
We know who the big guy officially is now.
Yeah, we know they've definitely revealed now who he is. And our final parting shot comes to you from Texas, or is it Nashville? Wherever Garth Brooks is opening his new bar, you know, the one that's going to be serving Bud Light. Well, this this is a sneak peek at the new bar. Queens in low places. That's gonna be their drag night.
You guys have a crack staff of folks who are scouring the internet to bring your listeners and viewers the very best from the internet.
Hours and hours of TikTok research, sir. Hours of it.
Hours. All right, now before we get going for the day, before we say goodbye to you, Rick, Mike, go ahead and give that final shout out to our sponsors.
Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. Now you can get rifle and pistol caliber barrels in any length you want, and soon to come Glock barrels. Hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly, fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Make sure you take part in California's future today. Keep your eyes on the California Congressional 6th District. And of course, you want some awesome going to the field gear, some web gear, tactical gear, get on over to uscombatgear.com.
That's right, folks. Please take a moment, visit our sponsors by following the links in the description to this program, or you can just, we also have the web addresses in there. But check them out, spend some money with them, and tell them that the guys over at the Rundown sent you. All right, before we go now, Rick, you got to let folks know, how do they follow you? How do they follow Legally Armed in Detroit?
I actually make it pretty simple. For Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, I am at symbol Detroit CCW. At Detroit CCW. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Oh, and I just joined the new one, Snapchat. Yes, the old geezer is now on Snapchat. But for any individual who is a credentialed firearms instructor, range safety officer, I implore you and beseech you to come to Metro Detroit at the end of last month, July 29th and the 30th, Saturday and Sunday, to help me train at least 1,500 women to safely handle and discharge a firearm at 2 gun ranges simultaneously for 2 days.
Excellent. Sir, thank you so much for coming on the program. Folks, we want to make this a regular thing for our Thursday program. Have someone on, whether it from somewhere, whether it's the political community, talking about conservative political issues, or gun rights. We're going to have someone on every Thursday to talk. And, that's why I guess that's why we're going to call it Throat Punch Thursday now. So we appreciate y'all. And Rick, we appreciate you being unfortunately, we're not our first guest for Throat Punch Thursday, but you are our, well, actually, for Throat Punch Thursday, you are our first. But anyway, we appreciate you coming on, man.
Man, thanks for having me. Hey, and just a remark on that throat punch. You know what? If you ever talking to someone that you disagree with in person, there tends to be a certain level of civility that exists in real life, right? Because you might get that throat punch for real. Virtually over the internet, man, you can be so disrespectful and not face any consequences.
That's it. Exactly right.
Oh, yeah. I've had to tell somebody, I'm like, look, bruh, I know how to Facebook stalk. I'll find you. Just saying. Punch him in the throat.
In the
All right,
face.
Put him in the face. All right, folks, it's been a lot of fun, but we're going to call it a day. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow on Freedback Friday. Y'all take care, and we will see you tomorrow.